Hello, today I'll be talking about 3 albums that I enjoy from bands that I dislike. So with these bands, I only like one album. But let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start off with Staind with their album Dysfunction. I've tried to get into Staind. They're just not for me. They just don't quite do it for me, but I really like their album Dysfunction though. And this album was before you got stuff like It's Been a While, Outside, So Far Away, and stuff like that. This was before you got those big hits that would come later in their discography. But with Dysfunction, this album has one of their big songs, Mud Shovel, which I think that song is kind of a banger. I know Staind is not for everybody, especially because of Aaron Lewis. I know he's a fairly divisive figure within rock and metal, but with Dysfunction, I don't mind his vocals. This album shows off their more heavier side, and what you notice with their later work is that they did start to soften up a little bit. Of course, you do have your heavy moments, of course, when it comes to the later stuff, but still, something you do notice with their later albums, Break the Cycle, 14 Shades of Grey, and all that stuff, is that they get softer, but which overall, their later stuff, I'm just not a big fan of at all. But Dysfunction is the one album that I do enjoy. I mean, some of my favorites off the album are Suffocate, which is the album opener. I really like that song. Mud Shovel, again, definitely a banger. Really like that one. Spleen, I think, is kind of underrated. I really like that song. Definitely one of the more heavier songs on the album. But yeah, I really like that one. Crawl is also pretty good. If I remember correctly, that song is on the soundtrack. I know it's on a movie soundtrack. It might have been Scream 3. I can't remember. But either way, I do enjoy that song too. Just Go and Home shows off the more melodic side. I like those songs too. But yeah, Dysfunction, fairly solid album. I'm not going to say that it's amazing, great, masterpiece, or anything like that, but still, I do like that album overall. I do overall think it's pretty solid. But yeah, Dysfunction by Staind, the one album that I like from that band. Next, we'll be moving to LD50 by Mudvayne. So yeah, this is the debut album from Mudvayne, and yeah, their later work, kind of like with Staind, Mudvayne got a bit softer with what they did after this album. I mean, of course, with their second album, I've heard some of their second album, and you do have some heavier moments on their second album, but I never got into that second album, The End of All Things to Come, if I got the title right. And then after that, they definitely got much softer with Lost and Found and other albums, and I don't know, some of you notice with the later albums that the nasally vocals from Chad really start to really come to the forefront, and I'm just not big on his more clean nasally vocals on the more later albums. But LD50, it's heavy, shows off, gives a more technical twist on the new metal genre, and yeah, I think it's actually a pretty good album. I mean, of course, you do have some big songs like Dig and Death Blooms. Death Blooms probably being my favorite Mudvayne song, but also Negative One's also really good. Nothing to Gain, another highlight for me off the album. Same with Severed, especially enjoy Chad's vocals in that song. He's more melodic, more clean vocals, but yeah, all around solid new metal debut album for me. Definitely easily the band's best, and I'm sure many people would agree with me on that. But yeah, again, can never get into their later work, but LD50 overall, pretty strong album, I'd say. And if you haven't heard it, definitely check it out. But now for the final album for this video, we're going to be talking about Infest by Papa Roach. So yeah, with this band, they decided to go butt rock after this album. I mean, sure, you had some new metal isms here and there on their second album, Love, Hate, Tragedy, but especially with Getting Away with Murder and on, they kind of went butt rock, and I'm just not big on their butt rock direction. And I've heard some of their later work too, or more recent stuff, and yeah, I'm just not a fan at all. I mean, there was a short time when in middle school where I was kind of a Papa Roach fan, but even at that time, I was more of a fan of like the first few albums. I think there was a time where I was a fan of Love, Hate, Tragedy and Get Away with Murder, those albums, but nowadays, Infest is really the only album that I enjoy from them. Of course, it's the album that has the big hit, Last Resort, but you have other really great songs off that album, like Broken Home, and I really dig where they show off their more hip hop side with songs like Revenge and Snakes. Snakes is definitely a song that really goes hard. I really like that song a lot. Blood Brothers is also pretty good. That was in the soundtrack for the movie The One with Jet Li. For those who, a little fun fact right there for those who might not know, but the title track is also pretty good, the song that opens up the album. But yeah, for me, not a single weak track on this album, to be honest. I'd say, honestly, a new metal classic. I mean, again, I'm not a Papa Roach fan. This is the only album that I like, but still, I'd still consider this album a new metal classic, or at least a standout in the genre. So many great songs off that album. The mix of rap and rock or metal and all that, all around. Really awesome album for sure, in my opinion. Especially if you're a new metal fan, definitely an album worth checking out, of course, if you haven't heard it. But yeah, those are 3 albums that I enjoy from bands that I dislike. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let me know what albums that you enjoy from bands that you dislike. Are one of those on my list here, and all the good stuff. But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment, a like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.